What's the most hurtful thing someone has ever said to you? When I was young, my mom said holidays are better without me. I cheated on you, and the only reason I'm telling you is because I'm pregnant. You'll never be loved or cherished because you look like me. You will never belong anywhere, no one cares about you enough to actually be there for you. You will be a burden to everyone else. From dad to 11-year-old me after we argued about how he missed my birthday, again, but looking back, I laugh because it seemed like he was projecting his own insecurities onto me. LOL face with tears of joy. Took my math book up to the teacher's desk with a question. I wasn't grasping it. He slams my book on his desk and asked me if I was stupid or what. Small town school about 30 years ago. If I ever run into that prick, I have a few things to show and tell him. Locked in the bathroom, naked. Just look at you. You're fat and ugly. Nobody will ever love you the way I do. Ex-husband, he was right, I married someone who does love me, just not the way he loved me. Thank God. I have a daughter with an extremely complicated illness. Almost lost her to it twice, when she was almost 3 and again 6 months later. In between, this was 15 years ago, I broke down and wept, being so worried about her and also how distant my wife had become from me as well. After I settled down, my wife told me that me crying like that had made me less attractive. My daughter is very stable now, and I've been divorced for several years. You're a stupid diaper-wearing cripple and the world would be better off without you. My middle school bully. For context, I have spina bifida and suffer from total incontinence due to the nurse not working right. I had a theater teacher/director pull me aside after a show that I totally spaced a cue/line. It honestly was a super insignificant line, and the other actor improvised very well, and she straight up told me putting you in this show was the biggest mistake I'd ever made. You're a disappointment. She got fired 2 years later and went to jail for a couple of years for banging my best friend's cousin who was a 15-year-old student. I wonder if putting me in a play with one line was the biggest mistake she's ever made. I had struggled with infertility for years. At my dad's funeral, my stepsister said, "I bet you feel bad that you never gave him any grandkids." My mom once said to me, "I love you, you're my daughter. But I don't like you. I would never seek you out as a friend." I was 21 and it was 40 years ago. I will never get over that, it hurts so much. You should do everyone a favor and kill yourself. Cut across for attention and down for results. A person who I called dad at 12 years old. You're ugly and underdeveloped. I was 10 years old and to this day, it still gets to me. Edit to clear things up, this was said to me by a family friend's daughter, she was like 14. My dad one time told my mom over the phone while I could hear that he didn't want a relationship with me anymore. Edit, okay, so I definitely didn't expect that to blow up as much as it did or to receive any awards. But thank you so much guys. Red heart, don't worry. I've commented the full story below and things are a lot better now. Red heart. From my boss from my previous job, you're a headache to deal with, and I regret hiring you. I wouldn't surprise you don't give your girlfriend, friends, and family a headache. I was hired with this guy fully knowing I had little experience with the position I was hired for. I didn't lie during the interview. No one will ever love you. That's the closest I ever got to actually killing myself, because I truly believed these words. In spite of not being good looking, you are so good at studies. I don't know whether I must feel hurtful or not. My stepmom wrote me a letter when I was in my mid-20s, had 2 kids and happily married saying I had the morals of a alley cat, I was an unfit parent and my husband should divorce me. I was literally Cinderella, starting from age 5. She even locked me in a cage. My mom told me this when I was 14, and it led to my first suicide attempt. You are a disappointment to me, and everyone who knows you. I should have just given you up for adoption. Probably the first time my mom said, "Have a nice life." Took about 10 more disownings before I said enough's enough and cut ties. I'm still kind of bitter, but have come to terms with it. She still doesn't understand why I don't want to let her back in. Last I heard she disowned my sister, again, too. I'm meant to be alone. I posted it earlier. My dad told me that dads often essay their kids, because it's normal. He had been essaying me and my little brother for years. My father had dementia due to diabetic strokes. I went to visit him 6 days a week. A coworker said, "I don't know why you go so often, he's not going to remember you were there." Looking at a picture of myself that my daughter drew. She really has an eye for detail. "You look like you've gained 30 pounds since you moved out." This was a month after said move. And it was only 5 pounds. My mom told me it was my fault after SA. "You're annoying." My best friend, at the time, told me this in middle school, and it was her only reason for bullying me. Those words were the end of our friendship and the beginning of my many current insecurities upside down face. My first kid has Down syndrome. Some lady at work asked me when I was pregnant for number 2 if I would do prenatal testing this time around so I could get rid of it if it turns out like the first one. Exact words. Geez, I hated her.